Hello, beautiful soul family. Rebecca here, your vibe mentor, bringing you another video on how to raise your vibration so you can live your best life. And I would love to reiterate, you are our soul family. If you are here watching this video, you are not here by accident. There's a reason you are drawn to this community. So please do make sure you join us by clicking that subscribe button. You are part of the New Earth Construction team, and we want to connect with you. It is through our connection that we strengthen and raise our vibrations so that we can create all of the New Earth systems. So make sure you click that subscribe button and the bell notification so you get notified of the next video. All right, let's talk about vulnerability. This is one I have been working my way towards for quite some time. Oftentimes, a source will drop in the thought or the idea, it goes on the video topic list, and then it percolates, and it percolates. And there comes a point where it's like, okay, now's the time, and we are here for vulnerability. This is a fun topic, although it may seem scary to some. Another topic that has been sort of percolating in the background that is getting ready to come out soon, we're not quite there yet, is the see, I even get nervous as I start to say it, the redefinition of the masculine and feminine role, in my personal opinion. And this is connected to vulnerability, especially as it relates to the masculine. And I'm not going to go into great detail, but I do kind of want to share a little bit because it does tie into this vulnerability conversation. So we all need to be vulnerable. We all have masculine and feminine in us. So both conversations will apply to both of us, or both parts of us, I guess I should say. As it relates to the masculine and feminine, I will say that vulnerability, in fairness, is easier for someone who is predominantly feminine. That there is an acceptance of emotions in the feminine realm to some degree, to some extent. Women are labeled as emotional, not necessarily in a good way, but when the emotion is exerted or expressed, it's not as shocking as it is for men. So I want to honor that. And I want to give some credit and kudos to the men who are willing to be vulnerable. That having experienced a lot of toxic masculinity in my life, a lot of control, a lot of aggression, a lot of assertion, it is easy for a man to be toxic, to be aggressive, to be assertive, to be a bully, to push people around emotionally or physically. It is easy to make fun of people. It is easy to mock people. It takes a whole lot more strength, intelligence, and effort to be vulnerable, to be kind, to be compassionate, to take the energy and effort that it takes to formulate a kind response. I want to give some credit to the men who acknowledge the value in vulnerability and understand the connection between authenticity and vulnerability. That without being vulnerable, you can't truly be authentic. And there is such a need for true masculine leadership in this realm that if you are even in the early stages of just warming up to the idea, I want you to pat yourself on the back. Give yourself some credit and say, you're doing really good. You are going against the fabric, the grain of the fabric of our society, and that is not an easy task. That is a difficult thing to do. But as a single woman in this current day and age, I will say there is nothing more attractive. There is nothing more attractive about a man who is strong enough to be vulnerable, who is strong enough to be kind. That the disguise or the false mask that is put forward of I'm powerful and I'm aggressive because I'm assertive and I'm a bully, that's disgusting. And it's highly unattractive. And actually, what I see is a weak, scared child and a fragile ego. And so I don't want to offend anybody, but I just want to encourage setting that down and give you credit for trying to move towards a better way. So I should save that for another conversation. Not should, but that will be part of another conversation. Let's just talk about what is vulnerability. How do we embrace it? How do we get better at it? And some examples, right? So, vulnerability at its essence is choosing not to hide your emotions. Now, in no way am I suggesting feelings, right? Unnecessary feelings. So, we have to kind of preface this conversation that the trauma brain will be triggered by seeming danger that doesn't really exist, that some situation that might remind you of a time when you were hurt, you may feel and experience stronger emotions. Emotions are a physical response versus a feeling, which is an emotion attached to a meaning. If you have experienced trauma, you may experience a exaggerated emotional response. And so we have to be very careful around understanding our traumas, understanding our triggers, and discerning between the voice of trauma and our true authentic nature. So I'm going to say it again. Vulnerability is consciously choosing not to hide your emotions and desires from others. Emotions and desires. So those are key. So your true core nature will have an emotional response to something that is valid, that needs to be honored and respected. And then your desires are essentially very closely connected to your needs, which, check out the needs video. You must have your needs met. The only way to raise your vibration, to reach your highest potential, to step into your purpose here on earth is to have your needs met. Again, a whole nother topic. But how do we do this, right? So we can compliment someone. I absolutely love, this is probably one of my favorites, is complimenting somebody on their shirt or their shoes or their hairstyle. Total strangers in the grocery store, or, when I was working in the corporate world, my favorite was that really long hallway that's so super uncomfortable, or the elevator, or you just don't know what to say, you're not sure when to make eye contact, and then all of a sudden you just smile, you get a really big smile and go, oh my gosh, I love your shoes, those are so freaking cool, or your shirt is hilarious, thank you for making my day. Man, the positive energy that just flows from you to them, you literally just made their day by sharing a compliment about their seemingly insignificant shoes or shirt or hair or whatever it might be, right? And that puts you in a seeming state of vulnerability. Some people would be worried about feeling less than, oh, I've complimented them, therefore I've elevated them over me. That's nonsense. That's really just up to you and how you feel about you. That has nothing to do with them, right? We can also be vulnerable in asserting boundaries, that showing up for ourselves, not self-abandoning, kind of rocking the boat by saying that's not okay. There's also significant vulnerability in expressing our feelings for someone else. To tell someone, I love you. Even when you're in a long-term relationship, especially if it's, where there's an imbalance in give and take. It really takes a lot to show up and say, I love you. Even though you're having a crappy day or being kind of crappy to me, I love you anyways. Right? There's vulnerability in that. It means putting yourself in a place where you could be rejected or hurt. Right? Asserting your opinion might offend others. And so there's the opportunity for rejection there. If we tell someone that we find them attractive or we love them, they may not reciprocate. But that has to be okay. To share a compliment with someone, it builds them up. It creates extremely positive energy, and it is very beneficial for both parties. So the key to vulnerability is being willing to accept the consequences of your authentic nature, your emotions, your desires, your needs. Even if, and I don't even want to say even if it hurts, because when we practice vulnerability, we show up for ourselves, we take care of ourselves, we heal our trauma, our self-worth, our happiness is not determined by other people outside of us. We can start to see that how someone responds to you says more about them and how they're feeling than it does about you. It's not personal anymore. And so we can be vulnerable, accepting the consequences of what may come, because that's really theirs to deal with, and I don't have to take that on anymore. We become less sensitive. We become less porous. We don't take on the toxicity anymore. It's very easy to go, thank you, no thank you. It's not mine. See you later. And that's it. You don't carry it with you anymore. It doesn't get into you anymore. Vulnerability is the path to true human connection. I've talked about this before, that the brain is built for connection. There is an area of our brain that creates a chemical cocktail equivalent to Oxycontin when we have intimate connections with others. That does not mean sexual. That means a deep emotional connection where you feel trust, you feel safe, and you feel open and vulnerable. You feel safe in vulnerability, which means safe in sharing your true, authentic emotions and desires. This is the path to true connection. That for far too long, spiritual beings, light workers, empaths, people who've experienced complex trauma, we've been alone. We've been isolated. We've secluded ourselves. We've been in hermit mode. We've been healing forever. That time has come to an end. That is why I'm here. That is why my light is being allowed to shine now, is because it's time to heal the trauma that keeps us trapped so that we can step into our purpose and claim our abundance birthright. That's why I've developed a coaching and course program to make sure that this happens for you, because we are the new Earth Construction team. We can't do this alone. We are not meant to do this alone. Where two or more are gathered, there I am in their midst. What that means is we amplify Divine Source Creator's energy when we come together. Vulnerability is the path. Healing trauma allows us to be safe in vulnerability, allows us to create connection, allows us to step into our purpose, manifest abundance, create heaven on earth. We are the shift, friends. Show your rough edges. Don't try to be perfect. Don't worry about your value and worth being determined by your perfection. That you are valuable simply because you breathe the breath of life. Source Creator energy courses through your body. You were born valuable and you will die valuable, and it doesn't matter what you do in between. Nothing can take that from you. There is no need to be perfect. Expose your true self. Show yourself without inhibition. Take rejection in lumps like the bigger person that you know you are, because again, it says nothing about you. It says everything about them. The beauty is, I love the vulnerability of admitting flaws, because I don't see flaws as a bad thing. I'm really good at some things and I'm not very good at other things. And what that means is those areas where I don't excel, I don't have excellence, those are opportunities. We are like a puzzle. We're pieces that are meant to come together. And so my whole is your peg, right, of the puzzle piece, the way it comes together. My areas of less strength are areas where your strengths can come in and complement me. So it is not weakness. It is not flaws. It's really good if I say, I'm just not the best at playing music, but man, do I have a desire to create healing music. I know the terms and the words. I'd love to collaborate. Can you create the music and I'll create the lyrics? Right? I have this really extreme, big, impactful dream of how to help kids and how to fix the education system. But you know what? Being around kids all day long, I'm not meant to be a teacher. I need somebody to come in and be the teacher. Right? There are some beautiful people out there who know how to command the room of children like nobody's business. My flaw is just an opportunity for collaboration. So share your faults, your flaws. Just say, you know what? I'm not great at this, and that's okay. That takes huge bravery, right? It takes a big person to step up and say, I'm not perfect, and that's okay. And it shows everybody that you're authentic, that you're honest, that you take responsibility, you don't blame others. And you can say, you know what? I see it. Maybe I should put some effort towards fixing it. If it's a flaw where other people are getting hurt, I have responsibility to change that. I'm going to do something about it. If it's not a gift or a skill or a strength, then it's just somewhere where you need somebody to come collaborate with you. Either way, you're human. You're allowed. You deserve the grace to be perfectly imperfect for your purpose. And that's why I say that all the freaking time. So take responsibility. Don't blame others. And just remember, when you come in contact with someone, you've got an ex who always blames you or always blames the previous ex for all of their problems. They're never taking responsibility. That's a red flag. You've got the person who always blames the coworker. It's always the economy's fault, or the culture of the company is at fault or at blame. They will never be able to improve because they've given their power away. The woman who says, all men are bad. All men are bad. Right off the whole freaking lot of them. Guess what? Statistically, it's about 50, you could say 44% to, usually it's around 56% of people are capable of healthy attachment. So from that, you could extrapolate about 50% of the population has the same problem you do. So if you find yourself saying all of them are bad, all of life is bad, the whole world is bad, all men, all women, I hate to break it to you, but the problem is with you. And that's okay. We say that lovingly. We say that so that you can take your power back and you can do something about it. Take responsibility for your manifestation. You are a manifester, you are a creator, you are manifesting all the time. And if you don't realize you're doing it, that means you're doing it on autopilot, which means you're recreating more of the past from the same subconscious programs, likely from complex trauma. The vast majority of the world has felt unsafe for an extended period of time, so we're all in this together. Let's do something about it. That's how we take our power back. Don't blame others for the current situation. Don't blame God, source, divine, creator, universe. Unfortunately, this is how we learn. Like a parent loves a child, we have to let them struggle and skin their knee a little bit so that they can learn how to do it on their own without our help. And that is what we've been asked to do as well. There is true power in that ownership, that I have the authority and power in my life to be able to shift and change this. You can create with intention. Just don't get impatient. It takes time. Everything we're experiencing now came from a previous state of consciousness. So put up your vision board, stare at it every day. I'm looking at mine right now. Put it by your bed because it's by my bed. And know that as long as you stay the course, you have continued sustained focus and attention over time, it will come. Just don't get impatient and quit and settle and go back to the old ways in the meantime. Okay? So taking your power back, owning your responsibility in your life, that's commendable. That shows that you really have what it takes to make a difference. It makes you look like a really strong and intelligent person. That is the perfect example of vulnerability. To say, I have a problem. I'm not perfect, but that's okay. I can deal with it, and I will deal with it. That is power. That is attractive. Another example of being vulnerable is being willing, like I said earlier, to put up those boundaries, to call attention to someone when they are being hurtful or insensitive or crossing your boundary. To say, in a kind and loving way, how you feel. And you can look at the video Nonviolent Communication, right? Where we just want to express, you know what, when you say that, I feel sad, I feel hurt. I wish that it didn't hurt me so much when you respond this way. And then we can offer an example. When you said XYZ, I felt really hurt. I felt really disappointed and really shocked and surprised that you would treat me that way. But what I need in this moment is to feel supported and valued, to know that you are here and that you are on my side. And a way that you could do that would be by calling attention to the challenge or concern and making a suggestion so that I can also offer a suggestion and we can find a win-win solution together. You can see how that takes effort. That takes time to really be patient and not blurt out, I'm freaking pissed at you and you suck. Right? It takes effort to come up with the kind words. But it is no longer admirable to have thick skin, to grin and bear it, to stuff it down, to swallow it, to allow people to intentionally trigger you or to hurt you. They no longer have a hall pass to be pricks. It's time we start calling attention to it. And know that if someone is intentionally saying something hurtful to you, or they're intentionally being a jerk, they're not going to respond positively. And that's okay. That's where we acknowledge, I'm sorry you have that yuckiness inside of you. I'm sorry you feel that way. That's a choice you're making, and I don't have to participate in this. Here's a boundary. There's my door. See ya. Okay. So notice when you are not being vulnerable. Notice when your tendency is to shrink back, to not say how you feel, to not show up, to not shine brightly, to not dress as nicely as you could, to not look as good as you could, to not express your opinion, to not call attention to someone mistreating you or mistreating someone else. Notice those as the opportunity for real connection, that in some cases, when you are vulnerable enough to show up, in many cases, got a 50-50 chance, you're going to be met with a little bit of surprise and a willingness to meet you halfway. Especially as you heal trauma, heal your attraction point, you're going to start drawing into your life more healthy people who are going to treat you well, who are going to be those positive mirrors. Know that, again, if you felt unsafe for an extended period of time, if you have any level of unworthiness or feeling unsafe in the world or with people or with love, that you have grown up with this belief or been given this program through a hall of mirrors, people who reflected inaccurate value and worth to you. And that as you heal that attraction point, you heal that trauma, you will start attracting to you positive people who reflect your real value and worth, who respond positively to your vulnerability. Not just positively, but man, if someone is vulnerable and honest with me and says, oh, it sucks, I'm so sorry, I screwed up, I know I shouldn't have said that, I know it hurt you, I'm really, really sorry, I would love to have an opportunity to try that again. I swear I would probably hug and kiss them even if they were a stranger. Be like, oh, you're amazing and awesome. Of course I forgive you. Of course. You're all human. You have grace to be human. You have space to be human. Okay. This went a little longer than I would have thought, but that's okay. It's worth it. It's a good one. I love you guys very, very much, and we can all do this together. We're in this together. I'm learning the same things, just a couple steps ahead, sharing kind of hindsight's 2020, right? All right, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Leave me in a little emoji, a comment. That would be super helpful for the YouTube algorithm. Otherwise, do click this button to subscribe so you get notified of the next video. Otherwise, if you'd like to continue the conversation today, this video was picked just for you. All right, namaste, my friends. I love you.